So welcome to the latest instalment of Tales of Blue, where I'm delighted to be joined by a hugely popular former Blues player with over 140 City appearances to his name, spreading across 3 divisions, including 3 promotions along the way. A player who will forever be held in such high regard by City fans for his all-out action approach. Danny Tiatto. How are you doing, Danny?
Yeah, thank you, Mark. I'm good, buddy. Yeah, pleasure to be with you today.
So Danny, born in Australia, but to Italian parents, who were the first footballing influence on a young Danny Tiatto? And did you get a chance to watch much English football growing up?
Basically, my father was a massive influence in my footballing career. He was moved over, an immigrant, and moved to Australia, and always had a very passion for football, and got me into the game at an early age. And watching, we used to get a little bit of football. We used to get the Serie A from Italy, and also the Premier League and that. So growing up, watching all these teams play was always something that I try to basically, adapt my style to. To be honest, I didn't really have an English team as such growing up as a young kid here in Australia. If anything, I watched the Serie A and I sort of followed AC Milan as a young kid sort of thing. So that was one team that I used to watch as a young age and follow passionately.
Spells in Australia, Italy, Switzerland and Stoke before you finally land at Main Road in the summer of '98. But you were with us for a 2-week trial, Danny, the year before you actually signed. How close were you to joining City then? And how did the eventual move to Main Road happen? Because City actually changed managers during that trial period and from when you signed.
Yeah, so it was interesting. Yeah, I ended up having an opportunity to come over to City previously before I ended up signing. And the coach was Frank Clark at the time. And I ended up having quite a good trial at the time, I thought. And got knocked back. And like I said, that's part of football. I sort of ended up moving. We ended up going back home and working harder again, and just wanted to come back and just prove people wrong that, I knew I was good enough and I had the determination, the attitude to become a professional footballer. So like I said, I'd sort of been there previously, and I'd sort of got a little bit of an insight into Manchester City and the size of the club. So I was a little bit gutted when I did get knocked back, but that just grew my passion and my hunger to come back to the UK eventually, and to become that player that I did at Man City. And the way that sort of come about, I started, I actually, after the 96 Olympics in Atlanta, I ended up getting scouted, went to Italy in the Serie B, had about a season and a half there, and then was on the outer, ended up basically speaking to one of my ex-teammates, Kevin Muscat, who was over at Crystal Palace at the time, and got in contact with him and his agent, and got a loan move to Stoke City for about 8 months. Done quite well at Stoke, and ended up playing City one game. We played them the final game of the season at Stoke, but I was injured at the time. But Joe Roll had taken the team over previously to that anyway, leading in towards the end of that season, and he had a few people from Manchester City come out and watch me play, and was quite happy. And he was looking for a left-sided player and was quite happy. And at the end of that season, I went back to Australia on the off season, and Man City contacted my agent, and ended up signing for a 2-year deal at Manchester City, which was a great honour for me to eventually get back there as well into the UK and with Manchester City.
So how did you find the mood in the camp when you did eventually join City? Because the club had just dropped down to its lowest ever standing at that time.
Yeah, well, it was a transition period basically for the club, because again, a lot of those boys who were there at the time, there was some big boys on big money, and they were trying to actually re-establish the club and financially try and again bring in these newer players. Have Joe Royal come in with new players, new ideas, trying to get the club back up again after being relegated down to the old second division. So the mood was okay. Eventually, a few of the older players moved on, and Joe Royal started building a squad that season straight away. As soon as we started going into pre-season, and the mood week after week, month after month, started improving. And again, as soon as the season started and we started gaining a bit of momentum and started winning games, mood in the camp basically lifted, which was it was great to be a part of.
Going back to that pre-season of '98, City travelled to Devon and the Royal Navy HMS training camp. I imagine that was quite a sort of culture change for you, Danny. What do you remember of that pre-season? Or do you recall it?
I actually do recall it, yeah, because when they wake you up at 6 o'clock in the morning, the army sergeants and get your gear on, boys. The weather was quite cold and miserable, and you start running and doing some of these runs that we had to do, and also jumping in the swimming pool and doing laps of the swimming pool. And yeah, the old school, which would probably be classed as now the old school of training, was so intense and so hard. We had to really dig in and work hard as a group. And like I said, Joe Raw wanted all our boys to be not just physically fit, but also mentally fit to deal with what we had to go through to get ourselves promoted that year.
Well, I can't imagine too many of the this season's players enduring a pre-season training camp like that one. That's for sure. Who had made the first early impressions on you at Main Road, Danny, after joining?
To be honest, I think just Joe Rawl, in himself, he was probably a massive influence on me and sort of what I did at the club as well. He was, especially that first season, and also him just having a little bit of belief in me to give him that contract as well. I really admired him and looked up to him. And Asa Hartford was there as well at the time as assistant coach. So I think more the coaching staff, the players. Yeah, the players were great. We hadn't that many players at the time. We had Kevin Horlock there as well, Richard Jobson as well. We had that many players. Richard Edgehill, the Whitley brothers were there at the time as well. So Gareth Taylor was there that season. So all these players, they accepted me, and again, I thoroughly enjoyed those boys sort of helping me along that season, even though that season was a little bit stop and start, because of a little bit of my over enthusiasm of getting stuck in and working and getting sent off every now and then. I had to sort of pull my head in a little bit towards the end of that season.
I was going to come on to there, Danny. It was a bit of a frustrating first season for you, injury and suspensions and stuff, with overall eventually changing system of the side, mainly to accommodate Andy Morrison. How do you really recall that first Main Road campaign from a personal level?
For me as a footballer, I was still trying to gain my professionalism in the game, trying to become a pro footballer at that level as well. Going to some of the venues and some of the teams that we played against in the old second division was pretty rough and rugged. They weren't as fancy and flash as Main Road. So again, it was a bit of different football. Again, I tried to adapt, probably stepped over the mark a little bit, but again, I think dealing with players trying to put you into the stands week in, week out, it sort of that sort of got under my skin a little bit. I threw myself into a lot of challenges and got sent off and had a couple of injuries. But again, it was something that I don't regret, because again, that sort of made me the player I was eventually going to be at City. But again, Joe Raw helped me out a lot towards the end of the season. He sort of had a good chat to me towards the end of the season and said, Danny, he goes, I value you as a player. I know you're hungry, you're determined, but he goes, I can't have you being sent off. I can't have you being injured. So he basically said at the end of that season, after the boys went to Wembley, because I was actually suspended for Wembley as well. He goes, I need you to go home. I need you to really think about what you want to do as a footballer and what you want to do here at this club as well for the following season. So basically, I went back home, took that all on board, and basically came back the following season a different footballer.
Just going back to that Division 2 season, you wasn't part of the playoff final team that's secured promotion on that day at Wembley, but did you travel down with the squad, Danny? Do you have any memories of that day?
So basically, I actually didn't travel down because Joe Roll said, listen, well, you're suspended. I'm not going to use you. He goes, you know what? He goes, I'd rather you go back home and basically, get yourself right, mentally and physically get yourself right. And I actually wasn't there at Wembley, which at the end of the day, I was actually back home in Australia and watching it from my house with a bunch of friends and all that, and just couldn't believe the way that game ended up playing out, So it was just one of those things. I decided to come back a little bit earlier before the playoffs, and I was just again, like every other Manchester City supporter who was in that stadium, mate, I was so proud and relieved that the boys done what they done to get us out of that division.
The 99-2000 season sees you really cement your place in Joe Royal's team, making 35 appearances. City secured a second successive promotion. What was the spirit like among the squad that season? Was it really, because it started to build momentum after the promotion?
Yeah, it did. Definitely after the promotion, the boys gained a self-belief and confidence, and the club itself as well, getting out of that division. But again, like Joe and Asa Hartford as well, they wanted to build, and they didn't want to just be happy with being in the first division, at the time. So again, there was another bunch of boys that got moved on, another lot of boys that sort of came into the squad as well. So the momentum had to keep on going, and again, as a footballer, I was just privileged that I, got myself established that season there. And again, we done very well. The group was very tight knit. Again, there was always a few rumours going about, the boys going out, doing this, doing that. But again, for that culture and that bunch of boys at the time, that's how we gelled as a group, and that's why I think we ended up getting promoted that season as well.
After just 3 years in English football, you were now set to become a Premier League player with City. How did that feel from a personal point of view? And what did you make of the new signings that started to arrive at Main Road during the summer of 2000?
Yeah, again, that was something that I didn't think was going to happen, so quickly. But again, to be a part of that group and the boys that we sort of had at the time as well was just phenomenal. Again, it's even hard to recall how many, the 6 years I was there, how many boys actually transitioned through the team in 6 years. Was incredible. Again, it was even hard to make friends because boys would be there one season, the following season they weren't there. So, but just the transition, from the first division into the Premier League was huge. So, with the likes of Sean Goad, Darren Huckabee, Kevin Hollock was in the midfield, Mark Kennedy, who else did we have at the time? Nicky Weaver in goals. It was just Danny Granville was there as well. So I could just keep on reeling off all these names, but the progression that season and Steve Howe was there as well, and Richard Dunn, again, just names keep on reeling off.
Well, as you're speaking there, I'm thinking to myself, it'd be interesting to see a list of how many teammates you actually had in the 6 years. That would be quite a list of players, wouldn't it? I'd imagine. So.
If you were to actually go through, and if I was to actually look, and I've got all the books and all the magazines, when I was playing there from Main Road at the time, and when we moved to the new stadium, I reckon if I went through, there would be over 50, 60 players that actually transitioned through the time that the 6 years I was out of the club. So, but again, that was a progress of the club, and actually the way they had to do it to progress to eventually get in the Premier League and stay there.
Although briefly a teammate, how was George Ware to be around in training?
For me, that was a massive honour for me, because growing up back in Australia, like I said, when I was younger, I used to follow AC Milan, and then soon as and he was a legend there at AC Milan as well. And as soon as I heard he was turning up, and him just in training, even though he was a little bit older at the time when he did join, and he was only there for a short spell. Again, watching him in training, you could understand why he became Footballer of the Year, and he was one of the best strikers, in the world. And again, him being there and again, meeting him and training with him, he was the most humble and, great guy that, you'd never expect, what he's done in the game. So it was an honour for me to actually train with him and play a couple of games as well with him in that campaign as well. And again, he was a gentleman, and thoroughly enjoyed my time with him there.
So again, you're a standout performer in what was a difficult season back in the top flight for City. But how did you find the transition to Premier League football, which resulted in you finishing as Player of the Year that season for us?
Yeah, so it actually helped me the previous season, actually leading up to the Premier League. My football and the way I was playing I was getting fitter and stronger week after week, and I started to really enjoy my football. And then going into the Premier League was it was a dream for me to come true. A kid from Australia, just watching the Premier League and watching all these professional players, and that's something that I really wanted to become. To have the opportunity there with Manchester City was an honour. And again, as much as it was a very tough year for us, I definitely thrived in that environment, just week in and week out, coming up against the best players, against, and also playing with some of the best players in Manchester as well, in Manchester City as well. So again, we had the likes of Nicholas Anelka, Robbie Fowler at the time, Paolo One-Chop. We had Ali Benabia was there at the time, Earl Berkovich as well. So again, just playing with all these, world-class players, was a dream come true for me, and something that I thoroughly enjoyed. And as much as we got relegated that season, it was one of the seasons that I thoroughly enjoyed being there at Manchester.
The City fans still talk now, Danny, about the best Premier League goal that never was a goal at Middlesbrough. Talk us through that run, and what reason did the ref give you for disallowing it, or did he give a reason at the time? It's still a mystery.
Yeah, that was. Yeah, so that was against Middlesbrough, that game there, away up at Middlesbrough as well. And Terry Venables was actually the coach of their side. And he'd had actually taken the Australian side and left me out of the Australian side. So I had a little point to prove, that sort of got into the Premier League and was doing well with Manchester City. And in that game there, I was definitely up for it, and picked the ball up, just outside the penalty box, and really, went forward. And actually, as I got closer, I thought, I could have a chance here, and slotted the ball in the bottom corner against Mark Schwarzer, who was an ex-Australian teammate of mine as well, who was there at Middlesbrough. And I sort of went off celebrating, thinking I'd scored a great goal. And the referee sort of blowing the whistle, and I sort of said, "Are you serious? Why? How can that be offside?" And basically, Darren Huckabee has sort of came into the frame, and he said Darren Huckabee was one side, and basically said, but I said I wasn't passing the ball, I'm actually shooting towards goal. So I got a little bit stitched up there in that goal, but that was disallowed. But after the game, Terry Venables came up to me and basically said, "Mate, you've done well," and that should have been a goal as well. But end of the day, that's football.
Yeah, sure. But it was an impressive campaign for you in a difficult season in the Premier League, and you were linked with big money moves away from City then, Danny, with new reported interest from Newcastle. Were you close to leaving at that time, with us just being returned down a division?
Well, Kevin Keegan then, at the end of that season, Joe Raw was given the sack. So Kevin Keegan had sort of got the job, and just on the off season, there was Bobby Robson showed a lot of interest in me to go to Newcastle. Kevin Keegan was kept on contacting my agent, and then had a meeting with me when I came back on the off season. And when I came back, he said, "No, listen, Danny," goes, "I don't want to sell you. I go, you're a player that that I want in the squad," sort of thing. So he showed basically an interest and didn't want me to leave. And again, being pretty patriotic and sort of a guy that Man City gave me my chance to be a footballer, and I'd done quite well with them. I said, "You know what? Well, if you're really interested," I go, "Listen, I'm happy to stay, and I love this club, and I've enjoyed the last, especially the last 2 seasons, and ended up re-signing with City for another few years, basically."
Fantastic. So it was a bit of a patchy start back in Division 1, but it really started to click, maybe from the arrival of Ali Benabia came in and the emergence of Sean Wright-Phillips. How big an impact did these two have under that campaign under Kevin Keegan?
Yeah, they were immense, especially, again, Sean Wright-Phillips was quite young at the time, but Ali Benabia, I think, was definitely a player who had massive experience. He was another player, who could create opportunities, score a goal from midfield. Him and Earl Berkovich were working off each other. Then we had Sean Wright-Phillips coming onto the scene as well, with his energy and his his pace and his dribbling attributes was amazing. And again, you could just see the team again building and getting stronger week in, week out that season. And again, there was that many goals in that squad that season. It was incredible. We're scoring that many goals week in, week out, especially the way Kevin Keegan had us playing. He really wanted us to get all out attack, and if we can outscore the team, we're going to win games and we'll get promoted once again. So that was another exciting season for us again.
Relentless, wasn't it, to watch? It was fantastic from a fan's point of view, the attacking. So you featured 37 times that season. What game stands out for you, Danny, when you look back at the Keegan promotion season?
To be honest, it was a hard one, that season there, because again we performed so well week in, week out. It was very hard to even pinpoint which game was a standout game for us, because again it was just relentless. It was goals after goals after goals, and all the boys was such a good bunch of boys to play with, and again, it was a hard one to pinpoint, but again, we just knew the squad that we had and the amount of goals that we were scoring that, we were never going to stay in that division, that season. We were going to get promoted once again.
So back in the Premier League, and you feature regularly in the first part of the season, but after sort of Christmas 2000, you don't really get much first team action. Danny, what was the reasons for this? Do you recall?
I think the main reasons were I think I had a slight injury a couple of slight injuries. Ended up getting put on the bench. And being a bit of a hard ass Aussie, I didn't really like that after being so regular for a long time over the last couple of years. And again, I think I came on against Blackburn and went over the top on Davey Thompson and done a bad tackle. And again, I think then me and Kevin Keegan started, butting heads a little bit, with my disciplinary issues. And again, I think, it started to go a little bit south probably that season there for me. And just had a few issues with my attitude and the butting heads with Kevin Keegan.
10 more appearances in the 03-04 campaign, which comes your last, and you appear for City for the final time, home to Blackburn in a 1-1 draw. Did you know at that time this would be your last appearance? You'd be moving on?
Yeah, basically, yeah. I sort of seen the writing was on the wall, sort of thing. Again, I was sort of, I just felt the love wasn't there, from Kevin Keegan at the time, but that's football. I just knew that after that season there, that it was time to move on. I had to move on. As much as I love the club and I enjoyed my time there for 6 years. I just knew, what, I know I'm not going to get much football here. I'm still at a reasonable age where I need to continue, playing football, enjoying the game, and also trying to carve out a lifestyle. And again, that money side of football, it wasn't as crazy as it was these days. So had to move on to greener pastures, basically.
So you do that with the move to Leicester, but did you have any other options at the time?
Basically, Mickey Adams was a coach at Leicester at the time, and he showed a lot of interest in me. So it was, again, it was another one. It was quite easy. I said to my agent, I don't want to be shopped around. I just want to go to a club, to a coach who's interested and enjoys my playing style. And you know what, if it wasn't going to happen in the UK, I would have, move somewhere else. But at the time, Mickey Adams showed a great interest at Leicester at the time, and I said that's reasonably close to Manchester. And I ended up actually, I didn't actually move to Leicester. I ended up, still living in Manchester and made the commute up, most days to training.
Tough as nails, 110%, tough tackler, reckless, hot-headed, are just some of the words that were used to describe you during your spell at City. How would you describe yourself, Danny, as a City player?
Well, you know what, I can't shy away from that. That's what I was, and not only at City. I think for every club that I represented, I think that was my style of football. It was either you like it or you don't like it. I've got no regrets. Yeah, it might have got me in trouble a few times, but you know what, I wore my heart on my sleeve. And again, that's, I think, every club that I played for, I think the supporters thoroughly enjoyed that. I was never one who was going to, step back, even though we were losing at times. I was never going to, go hiding. I was going to keep on giving 100%, and whatever it took to win a game or impose myself in a game, I'd never take a step backwards. And again, that's something that was instilled in me from a young age. And again, I probably could have not gone further, but like I said, I probably could have played a little bit more at times without those suspensions. But again, I'd never change that. And again, I'd still, like I said, all the clubs I played for, all the fans endeared themselves. And again, every time I speak to people, they realise, when they realise it, my name's Danny Tiatto, they go, oh, you were that bit of a nutter that used to play for City and all these other clubs. But again, if I wasn't that player, I'd probably, I'd probably be swept under the carpet and forgotten about forever.
I don't think you'll meet a City fan who would say, yeah, I wish you'd have changed, you'd been this way, that way. I would have you exactly as you were. So if I asked you to give us a no-holds-barred City-related story from an away day, of something funny that happened, an incident, what springs to mind?
There was a couple. I think actually when we went down to Millwall, that was always a good little place to go to. There was one game where Manchester City supporters weren't allowed to go down there because there was always a few scraps during, before and during and after the game. So it was down in Millwall, and I think we ended up winning that game. And I think when the boys we scored, we went behind the goals and we're clapping to our supporters, which weren't there, which got a lot of the Millwall supporters very, very angry. So when we ended up taking off after the game, we got a few bricks thrown through our windows, and all the boys are ducking and diving under the chairs and seats and all that. But again, that was an experience and something that, you know what, it was again, as much as it might have been a little bit scary, but I think that's something all the boys had a good laugh about it and chuckle about, that we intimidated their supporters pretty viciously.
Didn't take too much to get them going, did it? Sure.
No, it didn't.
But how does Danny Tiatto look back on his Man City career?
To be honest, I thoroughly enjoyed it. Again, everyone asked me, when did you have your, and again, not just because I'm speaking to you, but I think everyone says, when did you have your best period of football? When did you enjoy yourself the most? And would have to be there the 6 years I was City. There was a few ups and downs in between it, sort of at the start and towards the end. But again, I think just playing with all those boys that I played with was unbelievable. Again, just transitioning from Main Road and also the old Platt Lane training facilities into the new Carrington facilities that we had there, and then ended up moving into the Stadium of Manchester as well. I think just that transition period and being there for that roller coaster ride was unbelievable for me as a young kid from Australia, trying to make his way in professional football over in the UK. And and again, all the support that I had every time I used to go out, I had never had any dramas with any Man City supporter ever, that I was there. They'd always come up and say, how much they appreciated my work rate and my attitude. And again, even in that time, like I was telling you earlier, we had that many players come through, but to play with all these players that came through the club at the time, we had, again, we just even the goalkeeping side, we had Nicky Weaver, we had David James, David Seaman, Peter Schmeichel. Again, just playing with all these, top players at the time was incredible. And again, all the boys, had been at a top level, going through my career, and also coming and going at Manchester City, was immense for me. And again, made some really good friendships with the boys and stuff over the years as well, being there. And yeah, like I said, I'd like to come back one day. At the moment, with all the COVID stuff that's happening, it might be another year or so before I come back. But definitely, I'd like to come back with my family and watch a few games.
Good. I've got a couple of questions, Danny. City favourites. Favourite teammate?
Favourite teammate, I'd have to say probably Sean Goda. I think he was the most honest and genuine guy that I'd ever met, and also not just as a person, but as a footballer as well. What he done and how many goals he scored for us week in, week out. He was an absolute pleasure to play with, and again, I still keep in contact with Sean up to this day as well.
Favourite City match?
My favourite City match, it's not really a hard one, I think, is when we played the last derby at Main Road, when we ended up winning 3-1. So that was something that I thoroughly enjoyed. At the end of the game, I ended up getting man of the match as well. So again, for me, that was an honour for me to actually be involved in that game and win that game, and also get the man of the match bottle. And I've still got it here, in my sports bar as a momentum, and something that I'd always fondly look back at and say, I can't believe I actually done that.
Favourite away ground?
Favourite away ground? It was a hard one, because I used to, despise every team we used to play against. So but again, for atmosphere wise, and again for the theatrics and all that, again, Liverpool was always a nice atmosphere, because everyone carries on and sings a few songs there and stuff. But again, yeah, I think that was always. But again, I think playing in the Premier League, every time we went away and played in these stadiums, yeah, the atmosphere was always, intimidating, but also a great feeling as well to try and lift you to that next level, to perform and not be overawed by the away supporters.
Kit, what would be your favourite City kit, Danny?
My favourite kit, I think, would have to be that blue one behind you there on your shoulder there. I think that was the sponsor was at the time, was it? It started, yeah. I'm not sure what the sponsor was on that time.
Edios,
So yeah, that one, yeah. So again, yeah, I think that blue there was always nice. As much as when we sort of ended up, going to the city of Manchester, we ended up wearing the light blue tops. That was another nice top as well. But again, yeah, again, they were always nice tops. There wasn't too many bad ones. The other one on the other side of you, the red and black one, it was always a nice top as well that I enjoyed playing in.
Least favourite teammate?
Oh, least favourite teammate. Oh, that's a tricky one. That is a very tricky one.
You don't have to.
Yeah, you know what? All the guys were again. You'd either gel as players, as teammates. It was, again, I couldn't really pinpoint a least favourite teammate. To be honest, as much as I came across a lot of boys, you know what I mean. So it was hard. Everyone would always try and pinpoint a foreigner who was there at the club. But again, even the foreigners, they adapted to the culture and the lifestyle as well. Everyone talks about Nicholas Anelka and that, but you know what? He was a guy that people always thought, oh, he's rude, he's a bit arrogant and that. But you know what? To us as players, Nicholas Anelka he was a really nice guy as well. And again, like I said, you can't even put him there because a lot of people said, oh, that would have to be him. But again, he was a lovely guy as well. And again, with us as players, he was a champion bloke as well.
Fantastic. So one word answers: Paul Dickoff or Sean Gota?
Shit, you're killing me here. mate, this is a hard one, mate. You know what? No, there's no chance. I'm not even gonna pick between the two, because what they've done for that club there, what those two boys done for that club there was immense. So I'm not even gonna go there.
No arguments there. That was a long shot, that one. Main Road or the Etihad?
For me, Main Road.
Worst dressed City teammate?
I don't want to say, because if I come over in a couple of years, he might try and belt me up. Andy Morrison.
Oh, you're brave. Joe Royal or Kevin Keegan?
Joe Royal.
Who wins a 50-50, Pearce or Tiatto?
Pearce.
So do you, that's then finished, Danny, on that one. You'll be pleased to know. So do you get to follow City much these days from afar?
Yes, I do from afar. Yeah, like I said, I think, again, I've because I enjoyed my time there, I've got two boys, one who's 16 and one who's 14. I've sort of instilled my footballing sort of passion. And again, when I left City and went to Leicester, moved back to Australia, played here in the A-League back in Australia, I always kept on following Man City. My two boys follow Man City passionately. They've got tops up in their room, memorabilia stuff, and also got the playing kits year in and year out. My oldest one doesn't play, but my youngest one is having a kick at the moment, and he's quite passionate about City. So again, yeah, I've definitely been following Manchester City over their progress, and the level they've gone to now is incredible. They're not just a club in Manchester anymore. They're a worldwide brand, and a club that again has gone on to great things over the years since I've left.
So pandemic aside, what's Danny Tiatto of 2021 up to?
Basically, helping out my young fella in his footballing journey. Just basically trying to gain him the knowledge and guidance, what it takes to become a professional sportsman or professional footballer, and basically, yeah, just enjoying the lifestyle. I'm living here on the Gold Coast in Queensland, which is, the temperature doesn't get any less than 23, 24 degrees all year round. And like I said, it's a great lifestyle that I'm enjoying now. And like I said, just enjoying being back here in Australia and enjoying the lifestyle that it's football has given me.
Danny, it's been an absolute pleasure to talk all things City with you. A true City cult hero who's fondly remembered by Blues everywhere. I wish you all the very best for the future, mate.
Thank you very much, and like I said, I love City, and that's again. I've got a lot of friends that are outside of football over there in the UK as well that I keep in contact with, and they're desperate for me to get back to Manchester. But I promise them in the next couple of years I'll be coming back to my family and spend a bit of time over there and watching City, which is turning into a great club worldwide. Cheers, thank you.